I can feel the weight of temptation bearing down on me, urging me to give in. But I know the moment I lose control is the moment I'll lose everything that matters. Each time you tempt me, I feel a little more like I'm losing myself. It's a battle between what I want and what I need, and it's tearing me apart inside. There's a dark part of me that longs for what I shouldn't have, and every time I'm tempted, that part grows stronger. I'm trying to stay in control, but I know that one misstep could lead me down a dangerous path. The hardest part about resisting temptation is that it feels like it's a part of me. But I know that if I give in again, I'll lose the person I've worked so hard to become. I've been down this road before, and I know how it ends. Temptation leads to regret, and regret leads to loss. I'm trying to stay strong, but the urge to give in is almost too much to bear. It's like there's a constant battle raging inside me between the desire to give in and the need to stay in control. Each time I'm tempted, I feel myself losing ground. I know how easy it would be to fall into temptation again, but every time I do, I lose a little more of myself. I'm trying to hold on to who I am, but it's getting harder with every pull. Temptation is a quiet thing. It doesn't shout at you, it whispers, and every time it does, I feel my willpower slipping away. I don't want to lose control, but it feels like it's inevitable. I've spent so much of my life trying to stay in control, trying to resist the temptation that calls my name. But the more I resist, the more the temptation grows, and I fear that one day I won't be strong enough to fight it. The problem with temptation is that it never lets you go. It lingers, waiting for the right moment to strike. And when it does, I'm afraid I won't be able to stop myself from falling. I know that every time I give in, I lose a little bit of myself. But the temptation is so strong, and I'm afraid that if I resist too long, I might break. Please stop tempting me before I lose control for good. Every moment I'm tempted feels like I'm walking closer to the edge. I know that if I lose control, I won't be able to come back from it. There's a part of me that longs for what I know I can't have. Every time I'm tempted, I feel myself losing the battle, and I wonder how much longer I can hold on to control before it slips away. I'm stuck in this cycle of temptation, resistance, and regret. Every time I give in, I lose a piece of myself, and I don't know how much longer I can keep fighting before I lose everything. It's hard to stay in control when everything around me is designed to tempt me. I know the consequences, but the pull is so strong. If I give in, I might never be the same. The struggle is real. Temptation is a constant whisper in my ear, reminding me of what I can't have. But if I lose control now, I'll lose everything I've worked so hard to keep. I'm fighting a battle I'm not sure I can win. Every time I resist temptation, I feel stronger, but the pull is always there, always waiting to pull me back down. Temptation is a force that lingers in the background, always threatening to consume me. Every time I resist, I feel like I'm holding on to the last bits of control I have left. The hardest part of temptation is that it makes you question everything you've worked for. It makes you wonder if it's all worth it. But I know deep down that losing control would cost me more than I can afford. I've been trying to stay strong, trying to keep control, but the temptation feels like an avalanche, slowly burying me under its weight. I don't know how much longer I can fight. There are days when the temptation feels like a constant companion, urging me to give in. But I know that if I do, I'll lose something precious. I can't let that happen again. The more I resist temptation, the more I realize how fragile my control is. I can only hold on for so long before I'm overwhelmed, and I fear that once I fall, I might never rise again. It's a constant tug of war between desire and restraint. Every time I give in, I feel a little more lost, but the temptation is so powerful. How much longer can I hold on? Temptation is like a shadow that follows me, growing darker and more intense every time I think I've escaped. I'm afraid that one day it will consume me entirely. Every time you tempt me, it feels like I'm falling into a deep abyss. I can't tell how far I've fallen until it's too late. Please stop before I lose everything. There's a part of me that wants to give in, that wants to embrace the temptation and let go. But I know that once I do, there will be no turning back. I can't risk that. I've been here before, and I know how it ends. Temptation leads to regret, and regret leads to a loss of control. I can't afford to go down that path again. I'm standing on the edge of reason, feeling the pull of temptation whispering in my ear. Every part of me wants to resist, but there's something inside urging me to surrender. I know that if I fall again, I might not find my way back. There's a fire inside of me that burns for what I shouldn't have. I try to control it, but it's like holding a storm in my hands. If you keep tempting me, I'm afraid I might lose myself in the chaos. Each time you test my limits, I feel myself teetering between control and surrender. The struggle is real, and while I fight to stay grounded, every pull towards the unknown feels more irresistible. It's like I'm walking a tightrope, balancing on the edge of desire and restraint. One wrong move, and I could fall into the very thing I've been trying to escape. Please stop tempting me, or I might lose everything I've worked so hard to protect. My mind is a battlefield, and right now, temptation is winning. I know I need to stay strong, but every part of me screams to let go. If this continues, I fear I'll lose myself in the very thing I promised not to become. The urge to give in is overwhelming, yet I know the consequences all too well. Every time I feel your influence, I'm reminded of how fragile my control is. Please stop before I lose my sense of self completely. I can feel the tension rising, the quiet whispers of temptation calling my name. I try to hold back, but I know if I give in, even for a moment, I might lose the part of me that keeps everything together. It's hard to keep my focus when everything around me seems to encourage me to let go, but I know that if I do, I'll lose all sense of who I am and what I stand for. Temptation has a way of creeping in when I least expect it. And every time I resist, I feel myself growing stronger, but I can't keep fighting forever. There's only so much control I can hold on to before I'm consumed. The constant battle between desire and control leaves me feeling torn. I'm trying so hard to stay grounded, but each tempting whisper threatens to push me over the edge. I've fought this battle so many times, but every time it feels harder, the temptation calls to me, and I can feel myself wavering. If I give in now, will I ever find my way back? There are moments when temptation seems like the only thing that makes sense. But I know if I give in to it, I'll lose the very foundation of who I've become. It's a dangerous game, and I can't afford to play it anymore. I feel the pull of temptation as if it's a force beyond my control. Every part of me knows I need to stay strong, but the urge to give in is just so powerful. If I do, I'm not sure who I'll be when the dust settles. I'm stuck in a cycle of desire and regret. Every time I think I've escaped, something draws me back in. It's exhausting to fight this war inside my own mind. Please, stop tempting me before I lose myself completely. It feels like I'm standing at the edge of a precipice, and temptation is the wind trying to push me over. I know if I fall, I may never be able to climb back up. The stakes are too high to ignore. The constant struggle between holding onto control and giving into temptation is wearing me thin. Each time I resist, I feel stronger, but I also feel the weight of what it costs me. I've spent so much time building my walls, protecting myself from temptation, but it's like everything I've worked for is crumbling with every whisper. If I lose control again, I'm afraid I won't recognize myself. Temptation isn't just a simple desire, it's a wave that crashes over me, threatening to drown me. I've fought it off before, but this time I'm not sure I have the strength to resist much longer. I've learned the hard way that every time I give in, I lose a piece of myself. I can feel the temptation pulling me in again, but I'm afraid that if I lose control, there won't be anything left to save. My thoughts are a swirling storm of desire and restraint. I want to be strong, to stay in control, but every time you tempt me, it feels like I'm one step closer to losing it all. The struggle to maintain control is exhausting, and every time you tempt me, I feel my resolve weakening. I don't know how much longer I can fight it, but I know if I lose control, I may never find my way back. Temptation doesn't just come once, it comes again and again, wearing me down bit by bit. I'm trying to hold on to my sense of self, but each time you tempt me, I fear I'm slipping further away from who I truly am. Every time I think I've conquered my desires, they return stronger than ever. I'm trying to stay in control, but with each temptation, I feel like I'm losing the battle. There are moments when I wonder if it's even worth fighting anymore. The pull of temptation feels so strong, and I fear that if I give in, I'll lose everything I've worked so hard to build.